Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Sarah Schechtman. I am Assistant Director of Admissions at Boston Conservatory at Berklee, and I'm the theater representative in the admissions office, and I'm also a proud alum. And I'd like to welcome you to our virtual Accepted Student Day. First, I would like to take the time to congratulate you on your acceptance. You all should be so incredibly proud, and I'm so glad that you've joined us tonight. I am joined by my wonderful colleagues and our amazing current students, and we will be here to speak with you and answer all of your questions. And I'll introduce them now and ask them to say a little bit about themselves. So let's start with our Dean of Theater, Scott Edmiston.
Hello, fabulous ones. Welcome. We're delighted that you're here. Congratulations on being accepted to Boston Conservatory. It's, I think, the most fabulous place in the whole world. I've been at BOCO for just a year. This is my first year, and I'm really excited to share with you why I made that choice and what I love most about it.
Thank you, Scott. Now I'll move on to our faculty members. Let's start with Laura Marie Duncan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Marie Duncan. I teach musical theater. I teach sophomore musical theater, and I also direct the senior showcase. I'm also a BOCO alum, so I've been around on and off for a long time.
Thank you, Laura Marie. Teresa Lang.
Hi, everyone. I'm Teresa. I'm the head of the Contemporary Theater program, and I'm very excited to congratulate you all and welcome you all. And I second everything Scott said about BOCO as a place.
Thanks, Teresa. Michelle Chassé.
Hi, everyone. I hope to see all of you in Boston. My name is Michelle Chassé, and I'm the head of dance for the theater department. And I was able to dance with a lot of you. I teach ballet and advanced jazz and the senior dance emphasis. So, hi.
Thank you, Michelle. Now I'll turn it over to our students, starting with Jordan Pearson.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Zoom University. I am a sophomore contemporary theater major, and I am happy to be here to answer all your questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan. And finally, Liv Nurmi.
Hi, everyone. My name's Liv. I'm a senior musical theater major, psychology minor, and I'm doing an emphasis in dance and devised performance. I'm super excited to be able to talk to all of y'all tonight. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Liv. Thank you, panelists. While we would have wanted to obviously welcome you to our campus, we as artists and theater makers and actors know how to improvise. So we are bringing the conservatory directly to your living room. We hope that you and your loved ones are staying safe and healthy during this unprecedented time. Before we kick off our event, we acknowledge that everyone around the world has been affected by COVID-19. To see how Berklee has addressed these issues, you can visit www.berklee.edu/COVID-19. Also, we want to let you know that we will be here to answer any of your questions and as many as we can possibly get to. So feel free at any time during this presentation to ask your questions in the Q&A function below. Finally, we want to let you know that this event is being recorded, so we will send this to you in about a week. Thank you so much. And now I will hand it over to our Dean, Scott Edmiston, who will give you an exciting overview of our theater division.
Thanks, Sarah. As I said, I'm really excited to share with you what I love most about Boston Conservatory at Berklee. I've taught and been in the administration at a lot of institutions, and it offers an experience unlike any other. First of all, let me just say to you all, bravo and congratulations for being accepted, but also for having the courage to follow your heart, to listen to the song in your heart. There's a lot of mythology about a life in the theater, and a lot of people will tell you that it's a scary or daunting profession and very difficult and an oversaturated field. And there's a lot of the mythology that we encounter comes from old Hollywood movies and a lot of people who don't really know that much about a life in the theater. And I think a life in the theater is actually a quite beautiful life. So congratulations for embracing your calling. Congratulations and thank you to your families for supporting you and understanding that this is the thing that you love, that you were meant to do and bring into the world, and supporting you in that, and for, once again, having the courage to follow your dream. So what would it mean like to dream with us at Boston Conservatory? We are in a really exciting period where we are radically redefining conservatory theater training for the 21st century. You may know we were founded back in 1867. We were the first American conservatory to offer an undergraduate degree in theater. We are led now by Kathy Young, who is the first woman to lead the conservatory in its 154-year history, 53-year history. And she is really taking us to some really extraordinary, exciting places that are quite unlike what you may associate with a conservatory training. We're committed to educating a brave new generation of performing artists, empowered to create their own unique path to artistry through authenticity, personal choice, and diversity in all forms. And I just want to emphasize those three concepts again: authenticity, personal choice, and diversity in all forms. The conservatory is home to 3 divisions: theater, music, and dance, with nearly 900 students, 200 faculty, a 5-to-1 student-faculty ratio, and altogether we offer more than 700 performances a year. Here's what our executive director, Kathy Young, has to say about the BOCO philosophy.
People often talk about conservatory training. Our goal as an innovative contemporary conservatory is to provide an education, not simply training. We educate the whole person with a goal of unlocking potential and building a springboard for our extraordinary students to create the lives they imagine. They can use the skills they have learned through their work as artists: creative thinking, problem solving, collaboration, self-discipline, and hard work to succeed in any field they choose.
Many of you are interested in our musical theater BFA, and some of you perhaps in our MFA as well. You already know that we are nationally ranked as one of the top 10, including for having the most alumni on Broadway. We currently have about 260 BFA students, 16 MFA students, and about 60 musical theater faculty members. So this is larger than some of our competitors. And what's wonderful about that is our size allows you for more individualized course choices. So what I mean by that is, if we only admitted, say, 12 students, the students would all have to really take the same prescribed path. And we believe that our students should have the opportunity to embrace whatever their curiosity or interests are within the theater, and sometimes beyond the theater. Liv will probably talk a little bit about her minor. So you can expand your horizons within the performing arts and beyond, including things like songwriting or eco-performance. You're probably wondering what eco-performance is. Eco-performance is a course that we offer, which looks primarily at 2 things. One, creating more sustainable theater practices, so we don't just build our scenery and costumes and throw them out and then build more scenery and throw them out. That's not a very sustainable way to make theater. And also it includes the study of theaters that look at the environment and climate change and some of the issues facing our world today. And I mention it because I imagine just because you love to perform, just because you have a gift for theater, or including musical theater, that doesn't mean you aren't concerned about the environment. And maybe here at Boston Conservatory, you'll figure out a way to bring those 2 things together. Our average class size is about 14 people. It's cohort based. So you would be with the same group of people, primarily in the musical theater program in your first year, and also another cohort in your second year. And then the cohorts start to dissipate a little bit as you move into your senior year. The cohorts tend to become very close, get to know each other really well, as you do when you're making theater together. And so sometimes we laugh, we call them the cohorts, because they're so fond of each other. And our students have more than 200 performance opportunities each year. We produce everything from Broadway hits to classic plays and world premieres. Today, we just announced the fall and spring lineup of plays and musicals that we will be doing next year. And you'll be getting an email about that next week, and we're happy to tell you more about it. Our alumni can be found all over Broadway and in national tours. Here's a list of some of our fantastic, where you can find some of our fantastic alums. You'd be hard pressed to find a show in New York or touring that doesn't feature a BOCO alum. And you can see in the photo there, that's, many of you probably know Hadestown. This gentleman in the second from the top left is John Krause, who's an alum. We had Rachel Chavkin, the director, come and visit us this semester. She was one of a couple of star guest artists we had, including Sutton Foster. When Rachel came, our students got to perform excerpts from Hadestown, as well as Natasha and Pierre and the Great Comet, which she also directed. And I'm thrilled to share the news, if you haven't heard, that the Tony Award-winning star of Hadestown, Andre de Shields, is getting an honorary doctorate from us and will be visiting campus next month. But in addition to our success in the commercial New York Broadway world, Boston Conservatory alumni and artists are working all across the country. They are really reshaping American theater, and you can take a look at some of the really extraordinary, prestigious professional theaters spanning from La Jolla in California to and the Old Globe in California to the Long Wharf in Connecticut. We are really redefining what a theater looks like in America. And also many of these people have worked not just as performers, but sometimes they have gone on in their careers to become directors or playwrights or producers as well. Let me say a few words about our Contemporary Theater BFA. It's a relatively new program. It's the first program of its kind in a conservatory setting. Again, our commitment to innovation. It was designed to develop bold and inventive theater artists. It's dedicated to ensemble-based training for 21st century theater artists who is both a performer and a theater creator, right? So the traditional paradigm has been that the actor is the performer and the creator is the playwright. And in contemporary theater, we see those lines blurred. They're defining a new way of being a theater artist. And this approach prepares students to pursue artistically diverse careers with vision and also social awareness. We currently have 46 contemporary theater students, including Jordan, and 19 faculty members. Average class size ranges from 12 to 16, and they have performance opportunities. They can audition for any show that we're doing. Our main stage, musicals, plays. They also do devised work. They also perform in theater clubs, and most specifically in our ensemble performance labs, in which they create original work together during their class time in an ensemble-based way. This is a little bit about our philosophy. We believe what makes you special makes you strong. Here's a photo from our fall production of Shrek, which featured both musical theater and contemporary theater students. At Boston Conservatory, we believe in authenticity, not types. At Boston Conservatory, we celebrate your individuality and your unique artistic identity. And we are committed to shaping the storytellers of the future. Let me tell you a little bit more about that on our philosophy. We make artists, we don't make threats. So many conservatories aspire to create a triple threat. You've probably heard this phrase, a triple threat, people who can sing, dance, and act. I really feel like that's a 20th century notion that we have, and we've moved beyond that. And at BOCO, we're reinventing a new paradigm. And here's why. Why should your interest be limited to 3? What if you want to act, sing, direct, dance, choreograph, write songs, write plays, produce your own work, right? When we look at the great theater artists of our time, many times they are polymaths. They can do multiple things. If we look at perhaps, arguably one of the greatest theater artists of our time, Lin-Manuel Miranda, he wrote his own material, right? And now he produces and directs his own material. He's an actor, singer, dancer, songwriter, producer, director. There are many, many dimensions. Many contemporary theater artists are also visual artists or musicians and bridge disciplines. So we don't think your talents should be limited to just 3. Singing, dancing, and acting are the strong foundations of our musical theater program, and you would get rigorous training in those 3 areas. But we also want to invite you to explore all the colors within yourself. And also this concept of a threat. We don't believe talent to be a threat, right? That your artistic success does not diminish other people. That no one's in danger from your talent. Why should we call it a threat? It's a gift that should be celebrated and shared with respect and joy. Another important part of our value system is at Boston Conservatory, we prioritize diversity in all its forms. in our art form and in our work. And we are looking for students and faculty who are committed to helping us bring change to higher education and American theater today. Because we recognize that expressions of identity, and that might mean racial, ethnic, gender, or sexual identity, must find new forms and opportunities in American theater. I'm going to take a moment to celebrate some of our alums here who are in the photographs. On the up in the corner, we see Shobha, who is most recently been Nessa Rose in Wicked. She also played Eliza in Hamilton, and next to her is Bradley, who is the most recent Simba in The Lion King. And we're so proud of them, and they are going to be doing a little talk next week with some of our students. I think Liv is going to be one of the moderators of that. So if you'd like to hear from Shobha and Bradley, their experiences at Boston Conservatory and being on Broadway in The Lion King and Wicked and Hamilton, I hope you'll join us next week. To prioritize diversity in all its forms, we engage in inclusive casting policies, classroom policies. We have seminars which will help you define your personal and artistic choices regarding your identity expression. And I'm really proud that this current year, the 2019-20 theater season, entirely featured works written by women, queer artists, and people of color. Our partnership with Berklee makes us one of the most comprehensive performing arts institutions in the world. We merged with Berklee just 4 years ago, and what that really means is that our students have access to a whole range of student support services that are extraordinary. These might be counseling services or physical wellness. It might be the Great Dining Hall, it might be student clubs or social opportunities. We think the partnership with Berklee is really fantastic. And one of the things that it also offers our students are 4-course minors. And here's a list of some of the minors that our students have available to them. I mentioned Liv has a minor, I believe, in psychology. And then also, if you're really interested, you heard Michelle make references to an emphasis. If you want to do a deeper dive, not in another area, but in something related to what we teach at Boston Conservatory, you can choose to have an emphasis in acting, dance, songwriting, and directing, and we're expanding out those emphases in the coming years. Okay, so one of my favorite movies is The Wizard of Oz. And as you know, probably, I'm assuming most of you have seen it, at the very end, one of the things that Dorothy learns is there's no place like home. Well, I think there's no place like Boston. I think most theater artists, I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania. Most of us dream of the city. We want to be in a place, we want to go to the Emerald City. And for me, Boston is the Emerald City. I like to think of, when Dorothy left, she ran away and she left a note for Annie M that says, hate Kansas and I'm taking the dog. And I think you will find that Boston is like the Emerald City. Boston has an amazing theater scene. We have more arts and culture per capita than any other city in the United States, and we've been ranked 3rd among the best musical theater cities in the country. And I would say we're probably ranked 3rd overall for theater after New York and Chicago. You have the opportunity to engage with more than 100 theater companies, including the award-winning Speakeasy Stage Company. We have a professional partnership with Speakeasy. The photograph in the bottom corner is from their recent production of Choir Boys, which featured 4 current students and 1 alum. The producing artistic director is a member of our faculty. So our students have an opportunity to audition there, and a lot of our alums have worked there. We also have right down the street the Tony Award-winning Huntington Theater Company, where one of our recent honorary doctorate recipients, Billy Porter, had just directed this year. And right across the Charles River is the American Repertory Theater, which was home to Finding Neverland, Waitress, Pippin, Natasha and Pierre and they were so successful here in Boston that then they moved to New York. Moulin Rouge also started here in Boston. Something that I think is really special about our conservatory is that our students can be cast professionally in Boston theater while completing their degree. So this year, more than 25 enrolled students performed professionally in Boston productions, and I'm really thrilled to announce that the Boston Tony Awards, known as the Elliott Norton Awards, were just announced yesterday, and Boston Conservatory faculty, students, and alumni have 24 nominations. This is really unprecedented, including Erin Patterson, who is a junior and in college got nominated for Best Actor in a Musical. So we're really proud of that. And finally, let me just invite you to consider, does this sound like you? Do you think that you would be happy as part of our BOCO family? Our conservatory students have a calling, and the theater is their home. They are ambitious, fearless, hardworking, and big-hearted. They are driven by the desire to express their personal truths through the art of theater, and they want to create an individual path to artistic fulfillment. They're socially aware and believe that the theater has the power to change the world. And this kind of sums up who we are. Through values of respect, discipline, and generosity, they want a creative life and to explore a range of sustainable careers, from Broadway to regional theater to artistic revolutions yet to be imagined. Back to you, Sarah.
Thank you, Scott. All right, now I'd like to turn it over to our faculty. Faculty, I want to ask each of you, what do you love most about teaching at Boston Conservatory? Let's start with Teresa.
Hi there. It's cliched, but the best thing about the job are the students. My students are talented, and they're daring, and they're fearsome, and they challenge me all of the time. So that's sort of the number one. And my number two is I love teaching in rooms with pianos. Those are my favorite things about the conservatory.
I love that. Thank you. Michelle?
I miss my studios. It's so sad. It's hard to be teaching in my living room right now. So I love our facilities, but I mean, that's only because I'm pining for them right now. I love the students. I love the relationship that we have. I love our alumni and the way the alumni embrace the students. Right now I'm teaching an alumni class weekly, and what's really cool about it is that there are students from very early 2000 that are taking class with students right now and that are current students, and they feel like they're coming home even in the middle of a pandemic, that they really have the shared experience. And yeah, that's one of my favorite things, just seeing the bond that we all create together.
Thanks, Michelle. Laura Marie?
Hi. BOCO is just, it's my home. I feel like, yes, the students obviously make it so special, but I think that, like, just specifically about that, what I love is that I really believe that the conservatory attracts a very specific kind of student, and someone who really, really wants to be an individual artist. I feel like when we go through this whole recruitment process, and I have been so lucky to meet so many of you through the audition process, I feel like we attract the people who understand that being like a theater student, whether it's contemporary theater or musical theater, that there's not like a set thing that that means. I think our students are really such unique individual creatures, and they surprise me every day. And so I do love working with the students. And yes, it's cliche, but it is so true. I think we have the best students in the world.
I wholeheartedly agree with all of that. Thank you so much. Students, what I'd like to ask you is, what's something that you wish that you knew before you came to Boston Conservatory about being a student at Boston Conservatory? Liv, let's start with you.
So for me, I think I would have really just wanted to know how strong of a community we have. And I feel like now more than ever, that's been reinforced for me with our new educational experience of everything being online. I still feel like our community is just as tight knit. And something that's always really struck me about the conservatory is the connection that faculty and students have to one another. A lot of people, I feel, can feel concerned for the fact that our program's a little larger, especially on the musical theater degree side of things. And I honestly really feel like that's our superpower. It's something that I always really try to reinforce, because that large group of wonderful individual humans. Like Laura was saying, everyone's unique individuality is celebrated so much, and the faculty really know how to celebrate everyone's unique ways of creativity and just being artists. And that's something that I now more than ever am feeling so lucky to have been a part of this program. As I'm in my last couple weeks of school, I feel so grateful to be able to be a part of this beautiful community that stretches far beyond the confines of our beautiful Boston bubble. It's global, and I truly don't say that lightly. It's a global connection that we all have to one another.
Thank you, Liv. And Jordan.
Hi, everybody. I want to say congrats again. No college is perfect. You will have your ups and you will have your downs. Your ups are those beautiful moments, those life-changing moments, and your downs are even beautifuler. You just grow from them. I want to say something specifically about the CT program. Since it's a fairly new program, you make what you want out of it. You're choosing to come to a conservatory. There are a lot of resources around you, so utilize that. That's a gift. I mean, not all colleges have that. And last but not least, I want to reach out to all the beautiful students of color, and I want to let you know that you might have struggles wherever you go. There may be obstacles that will come your way. So continue to stay focused and always be prepared. Here at BOCO, we stay together. We take care of each other. You are worth it. You are not alone. And if you ever feel like you need to talk to anybody, talk to somebody, because there is probably somebody else going through the same things as you. Or if you feel like you don't have anybody to talk to, you always have me until I graduate. Thank you, everybody, and trust in yourself. And I can't wait to meet you next year.
Thank you so much, Jordan. Yeah, I think a running theme here is our community is like no other. I am certainly missing that at this unprecedented time. So it's so nice to see these lovely faces in person, and we are so excited for that day that we're allowed to see each other again. So thank you so much. Before I get to the next part of our presentation, I just want to remind you all to feel free to ask your questions in the Q&A function. No question is too small or not important, so please ask your questions. Okay, so I will be sharing with you some next steps in this process. So just some upcoming events that you all want to be aware of. On Saturday, April 18th and Tuesday, April 21st, we have our joint events. And these are events combined with Berklee College of Music, and they feature presentations by senior leaders, and campus-wide services. They include student success, campus life, career center, housing and residence education, an alumni panel, and a live Q&A. Also, please notice on your screen is a QR code, and on that QR code is a YouTube video, which is a 360 campus tour. This campus tour, it's a YouTube video, and you can pause it, and then you can look around and see our spaces, which is really cool. So the next step, should you wish to join us, which we really, really hope that you do, is to reply to your offer. To reply to your offer, you go to your acceptance letter and hit the reply to offer button, and you follow the prompt to pay the tuition deposit. That deadline will be May 1st. So if you choose to join us, please do that by May 1st. The next deadline to be aware of is May 5th, which is the housing deadline. This is if you wish to live on campus. Now, housing is optional for first-year students, and so it's not required, but it's guaranteed for students who do complete the housing application and submit the deposit by the deadline. So that deposit deadline is May 5th. And as always, we are always here to answer your questions, whether it be faculty, staff, or connecting you with a current student. So please feel free to email bcb@berkeley.edu at any time, and we would be happy to answer your questions. Thank you so much. Okay, now we are going to get to our Q&A portion of the evening. So our first question, oh, this is an exciting one, and I'm going to ask Scott this question. Scott, can you let us know what the shows are for next year?
Oh, sure. Well, we have a main stage season, but we also have a studio season. So there are some shows that are really fully produced, like most schools do, and then we also have a whole series of smaller productions. So I'll just mention on our main stage, we are going to open with Sunday in the Park with George by Stephen Sondheim. It's his 90th birthday this year. So we're thrilled about that. It's a musical that I love, The Art of Making Art, followed by The Drowsy Chaperone, which has been postponed from our spring semester when we had to go remote. We're gonna be able to bring it back in the fall. The fabulous musical comedy about the 1920s. Then we will be doing a play, an American classic by Sophie Treadwell called Mackinac, an expressionistic play about the historic oppression of women and the kind of machine of modern life. And then we will end the year with either Bring It On, by Lin-Manuel Miranda, or Head Over Heels, featuring the music of the Go-Go's. For some of the plays, we're looking at Mr. Burns, a post-electric play by Anne Washburn, one of the brother-sister plays by Terrell McCraney, the author of Choir Boys and Moonlight. And then we have a whole series of other kinds of cabaret performances, student-directed works, graduate student performances, the first year review, the songwriters review. So there are overall about 200 performances during the year. Look who's here! Oh my gosh!
What?
It's a surprise guest star.
Hello! My computer crashed, of course, so hi, sorry I'm late.
Gabby, why don't you introduce yourself? Let us know when you graduated and what you're up to.
I graduated in 2018, 2 years ago, and I currently am playing Zoe Murphy in Dear Evan Hansen on Broadway, which is really cool. Well, not really, because it's not happening right now, but yes, I do that.
Yay, thank you, Gabby. Thank you so much for joining us. If any of the attendees have a question for Gabby, please feel free to ask us. Okay. Our next question comes from Ethan. For current students, where are your favorite places to eat?
Ooh, okay. So, oh man. The CAF, of course, is like the CAF. It's iconic. It's legendary. It's delish. It's amazing. Cafe 24. Wait, on campus or off?
Both, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, well, where do I start? Okay. Boloco. I love Boloco. Is it still there? I hope it's still there.
Oh, it's still there.
Tea House is Tea House still there?
House is still there.
Okay, these are all the spots. Like, I mean, apparently there's like a Tate opened up like really close to where I used to live. There's so many good places. Boston is amazing. Oh wow, I miss Boston so much. I genuinely do. I'm like getting all nostalgic. Everywhere is good. I can't even say there's not a good place to eat because like everywhere is good. I promise.
I can definitely agree with that. Dunkin' Donuts just constantly takes my pick.
Oh, I mean, that's like a given. That's like a standard. It's tradition. You have to. If you don't go to Dunkin', you don't go to Boco. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Totally true. Thank you. Okay, our next question. I'm going to ask Laura Marie to actually answer this question. This is from Nathaniel. Hello, everyone. I was wondering, how does the senior showcase work and how many people typically book jobs from it?
Hi, Nathaniel. I'm so glad you're here.
I
So
miss Laura.
How I miss you too, Gabby.
Sorry.
Hi. So yeah, I direct the showcase and Michelle is the choreographer, so we can talk about that. It's impossible to say how many people book jobs from showcase because our students are working all the time, but some of it comes from showcase, some of it doesn't. Sometimes you book an agent, sometimes you don't. Sometimes we have people who are doing national tours now because someone saw the live stream of the showcase and then they book. So it's impossible to say that exactly. But what was the first part? How does it work?
Yeah.
How does it work? Okay, so we do have a large program, so we get this question a lot, but the way we do it is like in 2 groups, kind of like Act 1 and Act 2. I think it works really, really well. We've changed the format a little bit since you left, Gabby, and now everybody sort of participates. It's a little bit more collaborative, but it's definitely like everyone does their own solo stuff, and then there's also some dance things that we do, but we also do a bunch of collaborative numbers. And you know, I think because we're a top 10 school, honestly, like we get a really great turnout industry wise, and it works great. Gabby, do you have any comments about how showcase works? You had a great showcase.
I did. I was really lucky. Not that it's not luck. It's like just I don't know. You know what I mean? I mean, showcase is all this hype, but Laura does such a good job of being like, it's not the end all be all. Like, showcase is one thing. Showcase, you said it, you say it all the time, like it's just another opportunity for these people to see you again. Like, just like auditioning, it basically is an audition, and it's an opportunity to perform. Because I mean, in our circumstances right now, like I would kill to be auditioning to showcase, to be performing in any way, shape, or form. But like, if you don't get an agent, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not it's the same anywhere. It's not the end all be all, but it is fun. It's more fun than not. And if you look at it as fun and an opportunity to see your classmates shine, then like you got the most out of it.
Yeah, and Liv is preparing to do the showcase right now. We're postponing it. We're not canceling it. We are going to make it happen. But another question we have all the time is, do you have to audition for showcase? Which no, everybody showcases. So I hope that answered your question, Nathaniel.
Still muted. Thank you. This is a question for contemporary theater, for Jordan, for you. What has challenged you about the contemporary theater program?
Good question. Hey, contemporary theater student. I would have to say devising. I came into the program never having any devising experience, and every semester we have a EPL, which is an ensemble performance lab, as Scott was talking about, and a guest artist comes in, and just to be with an ensemble and creating work it's a challenging thing, but it's definitely an experience that I think everybody should have, because you should know how to work with people. So yeah, devising.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you.
This is a question for Michelle. Michelle, what are the levels of dance for musical theater majors, and what is the process for placements?
Hi, Gabby.
Hi, I'm trying to be quiet.
The levels, we have 8 levels of dance. So everything from who is first position to, we've had some students that studied at School of American Ballet and American Ballet Theater. So we have a little bit of everything for everyone. Same thing with jazz and tap. So tap has around 4 levels, I believe, Liv. Yes, 4, 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. And jazz is also 8 levels. So you basically are going to do an audition for placement when you first get here, and we'll put you someplace that you feel comfortable and you can grow. And I mean, if you're hungry enough, you can get to level 8 by the time you graduate, you know, and that's what you want. And if it's not something you want, you won't, but it can be your secret weapon. I remember just really quickly a story of a student who went into a singing call, and it was for Cinderella, the first revival they did, and it was her and like 3 other people in the room, and then they said, okay, well, can any of you waltz? And she just said, that's when I knew I was going to get that show, because I can waltz. I can really waltz. I was like, all right. So I hope I answered your questions.
Thanks, Michelle. This question is from Nicole. This is for Gabby. What is the best thing that you learned at BOCO that prepared you for Broadway?
Oh, everything. I mean, it all starts with like, BOCO does not try to put you into a box of any sort at all. I mean, it definitely helps you figure out what you're good at. And I think I learned, I mean, I was in Michelle's class. I was doing devising work. I was doing so many things at BOCO. And that's the beauty of it, is that you can do so many different things. And I think it's just adding to my toolkit of things that I can do. If like the waltz thing, like if I went to an audition and they were like, oh, can you do this? I could say, yes, I can, because at BOCO, I literally did everything and anything. Like the possibilities were truly endless. But I mean, Michelle, and Laura and everyone probably knows, I auditioned for Dear Evan Hansen like 9 times total. And I got so many no's, and I was told at the workshops, they were like, this is just not yet. And it's not they couldn't figure out where to put me or anything. But I think like hearing, coming back to school and hearing my teachers say like, if not now, it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. I would cry and be like, oh, why did I not get this job this time? But everything that BOCO teaches you will prepare you for any role, anything that, I don't know. I hope that answers your question, because like I was lucky to have booked this job after college, but again, I was lucky. It doesn't always happen this way. And like, that doesn't mean you're any better or worse than anybody else. I always go on tangents. You guys know. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, this question is from Miles. Miles. What are the performance opportunities like in terms of being an underclassman versus being an upperclassman? And this is funny. And are there actually discounted Celtics tickets available for students? Had to ask. Scott, do you want to talk about the performance opportunities?
Liv, why don't you take that one? Right, about the different performance opportunities.
Yeah, the performance opportunities are really endless. I feel like every year there's more and more wonderful opportunities. I don't really feel like there's any distinction between upperclassmen and lowerclassmen in terms of like casting and show opportunities. It's pretty much honestly cast based off of, if you're right for that show, if you're right for that particular piece of student work that's being done. There's so many great student-run clubs. We have a club called Earthstone and New Ground that create a lot of beautiful devised work every year. People have their plays put on. People are making their own shows all the time. And then on top of that, we also have all the main stage show opportunities, as well as all the Zach Box show opportunities. It's just like every year I'm like, wow, my mind's blown, because there's always so much great stuff to audition for and be a part of. I hope that answered everything. There's really so much to talk about.
I was just telling someone the other day, I can't remember who I was talking to, but they were asking about this. And I said that when I direct, sometimes I will ask a student like, hey, are you coming to audition for the show? And they'll be like, I think I'm going to take a break this semester, because like they've been performing so much. So that happens a lot. So I think there's also just so much going on all the time.
Jordan, how about from the CT perspective? How many performances have you done, including EPLs?
I'm in my sophomore year. Including EPLs, I think about 8 performances. Yeah, they've definitely had us working.
Do you have a favorite?
It would have to be Metamorphosis. Yes, and Teresa Lang directed Metamorphosis. So yeah.
On that note, Teresa, can you actually explain a little bit about the EPL process?
Sure. So in the CT program, every semester, every ensemble, they create a new work, sometimes based on something scripted, sometimes based on a process, and they are publicly shown, depending on sort of which iteration and which year. We'll call it how close to a quote unquote production it is. But it is the opportunity, to perform every semester, but also to figure out different ways that work can be made, figure out different ways to be a generative maker in a process from a whole bunch of different perspectives.
Thanks, Teresa. We touched a little bit about on this before, but this is a question from Karina. What is the environment like at BOCO? For example, relationships between teachers and students towards each other. Is it warm as well as competitive?
Okay, I think we should all unmute at this point. So we can be honest. What do you think? What is the mood like?
Okay. I would text Laura at like on a random day of the week at an audition, like even now, even after I graduated, when I booked Year of Enhancement, I called her at like 9 p.m. and I was like, oh my God, I love her. Like, and that carries until, I mean, forever. If it's competitive, it's because you make it competitive. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think it's a really warm care. I mean, when I came from my interview, I was astonished by the warmth of the community. I felt like everything I said, somebody laughed or clapped or snapped. And I was just so excited. I thought, I'm going to be in that world all the time. And kind of what you were saying, Liv, about like, I know, we're a little bigger than some other programs, but we're still smaller than most other colleges or universities. And so I just thought the opportunity to be around all these theater people all the time is so thrilling to me. It's like, it really is like a tribe. I feel like theater artists, we knew each other in before time existed, and then we got separated when the world was created, and now we spend our whole lives trying to find each other, and then we see each other like, oh my gosh, it's you, Jordan, I've been looking for you, how are you? Like, we know each other, we love being with each other, and you can really feel that, I think, at the conservatory.
Yeah, I miss everybody.
Well, and Sarah, although you haven't been able to see it as much, we see each other all the time.
Right.
Right. Our faculty we're meeting regularly, the students and the faculty, like we have stayed, I think in some ways the COVID crisis has actually brought us even closer. Don't you think? I think
Yeah.
I agree.
we're really engaged.
I have to say that, oh, I'm sorry, did I interrupt anybody?
No.
Today I received a call from an alum that she was heartbroken. She was crying, and I thought, I'm so used to getting like Gabby said, like the celebratory calls where people are like, I did it, I booked it. I always say to to the dance STEM students, first you tell your mom and then you tell me. And so when one of my students today called me crying, I thought, it's so beautiful that they still feel even the times where they can say, oh my gosh, I lost a job today that I had my heart set on, but because the season is being canceled, I'm no longer going to get this opportunity. In some ways it felt like it was a more important call because they felt like even after school is out that they have somebody to lean on. And I think also in this business, that's a reality of it too. We have really high highs and we have really low lows, and just hearing a voice of comfort, I think, is pretty awesome.
I think it also speaks to a lot of the faculty and staff are alums, and we all come back, and even if we don't work here, we all come back. I mean, Gabby, you've been back to campus, I've seen you, and everybody just comes back to see each other, and it's just a warm welcome every time. This question is from Anna Maria, and I'm gonna ask Jordan, Gabby, and Liv to answer this. What kind of opportunities are available for student-produced work? Does somebody want to take that first? Gabby?
Okay, I was a senior director, and that was the most life-changing experience of my entire life. It informed my acting so much. And I mean, Jordan can speak to this too, devising work and Liv, and everything, it informs so much. But like, I love the student work. I was a part of, I don't even know how many student-run productions, but I can confidently say they were the most fulfilling experiences of my life, of my career to this day. And yeah, I mean, anyone else? I'm sure you guys can agree.
Same, definitely. I feel like I've learned the most. Like, I've learned the most things from student work when it comes to just being in shows. Just to work with your peers and to collaborate, I think is just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I totally echo with what both of you said. And I think one of the greatest assets to the school is how much they celebrate the student work that is produced and how much of it is driven by the students themselves. It's kind of like people can make whatever they want and they have those opportunities. If you want to direct a show, it's like, okay, grab some of your friends, go to a studio late at night after class, because we don't really tend to want to sleep a lot. We're always like wanting to do stuff. And that's been one of my favorite parts of being at this school, is there's such a strong like yearning to want to keep collaborating with everyone across divisions, and especially now that we're merged with Berkeley, there's so much that we do with them as well, which is really, it's so much fun.
I just want to reiterate something Liv said earlier, that there's also a student theater company that is entirely devoted to student work. So you can write your own musicals, plays, you can have them produced, you can direct, all that. So
Thank you. This question is from Roger. What does BOCO offer as far as pop rock performance and training for BFA musical theater? Laura Marie, do you want to take that?
yeah, so we're doing more and more pop rock all the time. We've started now, I mean, 60% of musicals ask for a pop rock song now in auditions, so it's super important. First year musical theater is mostly about ensemble work, but once we get into solo work in sophomore year, we start in a complete unit on pop rock. You also do it in your junior year in scene work, and then there are electives in senior year that are pop rock specific. We really believe that it's important to continue to embrace the fact that musicals are more and more inspired by pop rock, and also just, even if they're not, I mean, I think Evan Hansen asks for pop rock in their audition.
They do.
So, yeah.
They do.
So yeah, it's
What did you
super
think for your audition, Gabby?
I actually sang Requiem because I have a funny story. It's a fast story, but I was at my audition and someone brought in a song that wasn't from the show, and the monitor came out and he said, "If you're going to sing a song, make sure it's a good one." And then I was like, I'm singing Requiem. But thanks to BOCO, I was prepared to have like so many things in my book ready to go. But I felt so prepared in like the pop rock division, especially.
Also this year we had Sherry Sanders come to is it the second year we've had her come, Laura Marie, in a row? Or yes.
Well, she came into the summer program, and then she came into but I'm sure she will be back.
Right. So she's the author of Rock the Audition, I think is her book, right? And she's probably the leading expert on how to bridge that transition between MT and pop rock.
Thank you.
I also think, sorry to butt in, that the voice teachers too are kind of a secret weapon when it comes to that, even though they're all really classically trained, and I really can't speak to it, so I'll let somebody else do it. But I know that they are definitely right there on the front lines with everybody too. I don't know if Liv or Gabby can speak about that.
Liv.
Sorry, my Wi-Fi cut out for a second. Yeah, I definitely feel like now that I'm about to graduate, like my book is full to the brim, kind of from any genre, any style, which is really exciting to kind of see that all come to fruition. But I definitely feel like all the voice teachers are so focused on making sure you can sing healthily through any style and any genre, which is really important. From really like first year, we're kind of starting with more classical singing technique and working through so that, you know, you're able to go into any audition or call. At least I feel that way, and, you know, produce a healthy sound and make sure you're doing that in a way that's gonna show your best self.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So there are a couple questions, one from Ethan, one from Lola, about the acting training. And I'm wondering if some of the students in both contemporary theater and musical theater can talk about the acting training. Liv, can we start with you in the musical theater department?
Yeah, for sure. So something that I've really noticed that's really exciting, kind of seeing our program evolve over the past 4 years, is we have so many branches of acting training, from viewpoints to Shakespeare to contemporary scenes to musical theater scene study. I'm doing devising and solo performance right now, which Gabby also did that when she was at school. And it's truly been one of the most exciting, eye-opening, scary, kind of like risk-taking classes I've ever taken in my life. And I feel like it, again, just kind of sums up our acting education as a whole. There are so many different avenues you can go down, and that definitely starts to evolve as you move up through the various years. So it kind of starts more foundational training, and then you can kind of select what EMPs and avenues you want to focus on in your senior year, whether it is kind of a more viewpoint, classical, or devised driven acting training in your last year of school.
Thank you.
I'm not a senior, but I could speak to my 2 years here. For our acting training, we did Stanislavski for our freshman year, and right now we are doing Meisner. Teresa, if you could kind of explain the next 2 years, acting-wise, I just want to make sure we get everything.
Yeah. In CT, we focus primarily on sort of psychophysical acting, really movement-heavy, embodied performance. And so those first 2.5 years, we'll talk advising in a minute, are really about informing the physical presence and embodiment in acting, and then similarly moving into electives to further work in mask or in clown or in other techniques that kind of compound that embodied acting.
For sure.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more question. This is from Jimo. This is for the three, so Gabby, Liv, and Jordan. What was the moment that you knew that Boston Conservatory was the right school for you?
I remember I was in the cafeteria, and my mom and we were sitting down, and we were looking out of the window, and she just looked at me and she started crying, and I was like, "Mom, why are you crying?" And she was like, "Because I know this is the place you're going to be." And I truly, where you're going to be the minute you step on the campus. Unfortunately, you won't be able to step on the campus, but just trust in your judgment,
Mm-hmm. I had a similar experience. I toured a couple of schools, and I thought I was going to go to one school. And the second that I got there, I started crying because it wasn't what I thought it was. And I knew in my gut that it wasn't. And the next day I drove to Boston Conservatory. And again, you just know in your heart that it's the place. And I did all my research too. I made sure I knew everything. I knew what I was getting myself into, and everything that I wanted and dreamed about I could do at the Boston Conservatory. And I'm so, so happy I went there.
Thanks, Gabby. Liv?
For me, it was really during our orientation week at school. They always put on a show that all the orientation leaders are in. And I still remember it so vividly. And it sounds like cliche, but I honestly do get emotional thinking about it, because it was one of those really beautiful moments. We were sitting in the theater at the conservatory, and they were doing the show, and I was just full of goosebumps. And I was like, oh my gosh, I found like this home where everyone's as zany, crazy, passionate, as I've kind of always felt my whole life, and never quite found that space for me. And I always say this at all of the prospective student days, audition days, like you really do find the right place for you, the right school for you, and you can feel it in your heart, like this is the right home that you belong. And I really feel like it's because of the people you'll end up surrounding yourself with. So I hope you all find your home. I hope it's with us, because it's truly a very wild, fun time. It's an incredible experience. I wish I could do the 4 years over again.
Me too. Ugh.
Thank you all so much. Thank you all for being here. If your questions weren't answered, we will answer them. And if you have more questions after this is over, you can feel free again to email bcb@berkeley.edu. We sincerely hope we see you in the fall, and I'm going to hand it over to Scott to lead us out.
Thanks, Sarah. This is a special message. I just want to speak to all of the admitted students, really from my heart in a very personal way, but I'm going to include Liv and Jordan and Gabby in this message as well. The COVID crisis has really transformed our whole world, and a lot of people are talking about live performance, the question of live performance. It really became real to me this pandemic when the Broadway theater shut down. I went, what? Oh my God, the Broadway theaters are shutting down? And see, some people have even gone so far as to ask about the future of live performance, because we are unable to gather in public spaces. And I just want to reassure you that the theater isn't going anywhere. We were invented in ancient Greece. If it wasn't really a viable career, we're still doing it. We have survived wars and plagues and, economic upturns and downturns. The theater has always endured because human beings value love, will always need the opportunity to gather together in shared spaces and tell stories and sing songs to one another. That will never go away. And because I'm probably the oldest person here, if you look back when radio was invented, people said, oh, this will be the end of concerts. No one will ever go to a live concert because there are radios, right? Or when movies were invented, they thought that was going to be the end of the theater. Or when I was in college in the early 1980s, I had a professor tell us about this new technology that was being invented called VHS tapes. And the VHS tape meant that you could pop a movie into your television and watch it at home. And so that meant the theater was going to die, that nobody would ever come to the theater again. And I remember going home from class that day thinking, oh my God, I'm getting a degree in an art form that's dying. No one ever is going to come to the theater, and I'm just, getting my BFA. And of course, that didn't come to pass. The theater has endured. And I actually think we're going to see a renewed appreciation for the opportunity to gather together and tell those stories and sing those songs and perform those dances for one another, right? I think it's going to be more meaningful to us than ever before. I want you to try and imagine what that's going to be like when the first New York theater reopens, right? That is going to be a glorious moment for the world. And that's going to be the beginning, because I think more than ever, we will value something about that live theater uniquely offers us that maybe we took a little bit for granted, and I don't think we're going to take it for granted ever again. So I want you to not lose courage or not doubt the power of theater moving forward and how much it is going to play a significant role. I think we're heading into a new golden era for theater, and I actually hope that journey for you begins with us at the Boston Conservatory.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Laura Marie. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Liv. Thank you, Jordan. And thank you, Gabby. And
congratulations, everybody. We
Congrats.
love you. Come to Boco.
Come to Boco.